Do you want to sound more confident and natural when you speak English at work? Don't worry, I got you. In this video, I'll share 10 must-know English phrases that native speakers use all the time in meetings, in conversations, in discussions, and everyday workplace communication in general. And I'll show you exactly how to use them in your speech. Hi friends, welcome back to English for Tech Professionals. This is the channel where we help you speak English with confidence at work and beyond. I am Anna Gandrabura, your English and effective communication coach. And if you're new to this channel, I would like you to subscribe so that you don't miss your free English lesson that I post every Friday. And also, if you end up liking this video, if you end up learning something new, make sure you like this video because it really helps this channel grow. All right, let's get started. Phrase number one that you need to know is, here is a thing. And let's start with an example here. Here's a thing. We don't have enough data yet. Here is a thing is the phrase that we use at the beginning of the sentence when we want to introduce a key point, a key element of our conversation. Here's the thing. The deadline was never confirmed. Here's the thing. This solution won't scale long term. Phrase number two, let me point out. Let's look at the example. Let me point out one potential risk. This phrase is useful when you want to draw attention to something important without sounding aggressive. Let me point out a small detail we might be missing. Let me point out. Let me draw your attention. Another example. Let me point out why this approach could be risky. Phrase number three. What I'm trying to say is, here's an example. What I'm trying to say is that we need more time. So we use the phrase, what I'm trying to say is, when we want to clarify our message, especially if we feel that we are not being fully understood, right? When we see that people don't understand what we're trying to say, this is when we say, what I'm trying to say is that the issue isn't technical. Here's another example. What I'm trying to say is we need better communication. Phrase number four, let me rephrase that. You see, we're going in this direction. Here's an example. Let me rephrase that. The feature isn't ready yet. This phrase is perfect, again, when you want to correct yourself or you want to make your point clearer, right? When you see that they didn't understand you or you said something that is wrong, let me rephrase that so it's clearer. Phrase number five is, I see where you're coming from. Let's look at the example. I see where you're coming from, but I see it differently. So we use the phrase, I see where you're coming from, to acknowledge somebody's point before adding a different opinion, before adding your different opinion. It's like saying, I know what you mean, I understand your point, but blah, blah, blah. So I see where you're coming from. I know what you mean. I understand your point. Here's an example. I see where you're coming from. That makes sense. By the way, it doesn't have to be but. It's just like acknowledging, I know what you mean. I see what you mean. Another example. I see where you're coming from, but we need to consider the timeline. Phrase number six. The bottom line is, and here's an example. The bottom line is we need to make a decision today. So the phrase, the bottom line is used to summarize or focus attention on what really matters, right? So it's a summary. The bottom line is that we are over budget, or the bottom line is this solution works. So to summarize it, to recap, the phrase bottom line itself actually comes from, believe it or not, accounting. Traditionally, when companies prepared financial statements, the final number, the profit or loss, was written at the last bottom line of the page. That line showed what really mattered after all costs and calculations were included. So the most important, you're right, eventually. These days we use bottom line in everyday work English conversations with the meaning of the most important thing. Just like in back old days, accountants calculated profit and loss. And the most important thing, the bottom line was that. Phrase number 7, can you stay back? Here's an example. Can you stay back for a minute after the meeting? This is a polite and natural way to ask someone to remain for a quick follow-up. Here's an example, another example. Can you stay back for a quick chat? Can you stay for a moment? Can you stay back for a quick chat? Can you stay back so we can clarify one thing? So it's just another alternative. Can you stay? Can you stay back? Number 8, if that's okay. Here's an example. Can we move the meeting to Thursday if that's okay? So we use if that's okay to soften a request or to soften a suggestion. Remember that English-speaking workplace culture is very polite, very sensitive. You often need to check in with others, or you often need to ask for their feedback. So you don't sound rude. Use the phrase to soften your requests. Use this phrase to soften your requests. For example, you can say, I will follow up tomorrow if that's okay. I would like to leave a bit earlier today, if that's okay. Can we discuss this after the meeting, if that's okay? Phrase number 9, we're almost there. I'm not sure I can answer off the top of my head. Off the top of my head. Here's an example. I'm not sure I can answer off the top of my head. This phrase is super useful when you need time to think or you need time to check information. For example, I can't answer off the top of my head, but I can check. When you don't have the answer right here, right now, just use the phrase, I can't answer off the top of my head, or I don't know off the top of my head, but I can check and get back to you. Number 10, noted. Noted. I'll follow up on that. Noted. Noted is a short and efficient way to say, I understand, I have acknowledged, I got it. Noted. Thanks for the update. Noted. I got it. I accepted it. I acknowledge it. I understand. All right. Well, let me know in the comments which phrase you like the most and which phrase you're going to start using from now on. And if you have any suggestions for new topics that you want me to cover in my next videos, also let me know in the comments. Till the next time.